are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
And the Code RAD show is back, our special end of October edition. Well, that's not totally true. We're going to do another episode before October is really over. But we are in the middle of the Halloween season. The air is crisp, maybe a little bit warm, but I think everyone is feeling the Halloween vibes. Welcome back. With me is Jim.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Jason. Hello, YouTube. Hello.
And we got what you want. We got the vengeance on Varos. Varos has all the vengeance, it turns out. Way too much vengeance, I think, for little English kids at tea time back in the 80s. But that's what we're going to talk about. I thought Vengeance on Varos would be a good follow-up because it's an interesting episode in a lot of ways. And last time we did The Deadly Assassin, which is another episode that's famous for being violent, scary, and so I thought that'll be our theme for this week. So
violent and scary. Right?
I'm Doctor Who is famous for being scary, but that was more like the earlier Tom Baker episodes. I think that was when it was really known as a horror show. Which, this is obviously not that. It's quite different. But why don't you go ahead and set it up, Jim? What you want to talk about? The plot or your basic impressions? Anything?
Where to start? Okay, so I guess all right. So, Peter Davison had left the series. He was friends with Patrick Troughton, and Patrick Troughton said, "Don't stay any longer than 3 seasons, because then if you stay longer, you'll be typecast." So Davison said, "Okay." So the replacement was decided to be Colin Baker, who appeared as Maxwell in the Peter Davison story Arc of Infinity.
Yep.
Let's see. Now, he was the Fifth Doctor and Sixth Doctor couldn't be any more different. The Fifth Doctor was like very, very sweet, very nice, very caring. The Sixth Doctor, very brash, very bold, could be very arrogant, and we'll see can be very violent. And also, what's really kind of also, if I can bring this up, is his. No, okay. Well, I guess I can show you later, but his costume. His costume.
Are you having a problem getting your?
Try again.
Let me.
Sure, but his costume, but
there we go.
Here we go. Okay, so you can see. Wow. So apparently, I think one of the costume designers just went crazy and said, no matter what was submitted to the producers kept on rejecting it. So finally, I think someone just went crazy and just like, okay, here, do you want this? I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. Like, oh God, I gotta wear that. So, yeah, I always figured that it was meant to, clash. He's always clashing with himself. I thought maybe that might be a reflection of why the costume looks like that.
For sure. I think it was meant to represent his psychology, his state of mind.
Just all over the place.
Yeah. Mismatched, moody. You never, very unpredictable, as you said.
Yeah, and I will say I like the cat pin right there. The cat pin I do like.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I don't know about you. For me, the Sixth Doctor was a mixed bag. He I guess folks that are watching, I know a lot of people like the Sixth Doctor, and I get it. But Colin Baker is a very accomplished actor. He's very great. His performance is always very, very vibrant. The way he moves and speaks, he's very vibrant.
Sure.
But his Doctor was very hard to like sometimes. Just very unpredictable. There's a question that fans say, if you could pick which Doctor you could travel with, who would you pick? And a lot of people don't. I certainly wouldn't pick 6.
No,
not at all. I'd probably pick 2 or 3.
Yeah.
How about which Doctor would you choose?
I mean, maybe Dave Tennant, just because he was so nice.
Yes.
Being nice was kind of his thing. As much as I love Tom Baker,
Yes.
being eccentric was kind of his thing.
Yeah.
William Hartnell was kind of mean and grouchy. And,
Yeah, definitely not him.
So Dave Tennant is just one of my favorite doctors. He's great. But yeah, since he's such a nice guy, maybe. How about Sylvester McCoy? He also seemed very, very friendly.
Yeah, he was good. He was good. And I'm told people have gone to conventions like Ed, and people who have met Colin Baker said he's an amazing, amazing human being. Very personable.
I did meet Colin Baker once in
Oh, how did it
in
go? Okay.
in the 80s. It was oh yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the convention. It was run by the Pridonians of Princeton. I
Oh,
think the
those.
actual
Okay,
show
yeah.
was in New Brunswick, if I'm remembering it correctly.
Got it. Okay.
And this was probably the coolest thing of my geek life I've ever done. I was there with my mom. I was probably like 13 or something. She drove us down there, and they had a luncheon where like it cost $25. I'm almost sure, because I mean, this
Wow.
whole thing was just indelibly imprinted on my mind. And so like at the time, $50, for my mom and myself seemed like a huge amount of money. But it was one of the rare occasions where my mom, shelled out for something extravagant like that. And you had all the guests at different tables, and then you could go fill up the table and have lunch with one of your favorite stars. And I remember I was sitting next to Louise Jameson, which is pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Jealous.
But the bad part of this story is that they oversold it. And so it was overcrowded, and some poor people had to sit at a table with no celebrity, which, I mean, what a ripoff. That didn't happen to me, but I had to actually go over. I had like a glossy headshot of Colin Baker. I walked up to him, and he was in a conversation, and he was perfectly polite, but you could tell he was in a conversation with someone. So he just, said hello, took it, put his autograph on it, and handed it back. So that was my experience.
Next to Louise Jameson, that's been jealous. Wow. Leela.
I think it was definitely a female companion, and maybe I just remember it as Louise Jameson because Leela is probably my favorite. But and of course, I'm a totally awkward geek teenager, so it was just very awkward. Like, hi, you've been on any other shows? Yeah. And my mom and I were like the first ones online, so I got to sit in the chair right next to the reserved one. And to tell you the truth, I don't even remember who the other person was that sat at our table. But go on.
Oh yeah.
Any other like major impressions or overall thoughts about Vengeance on Varos before we get into details?
Well,
Specifics?
let's see. I guess it's okay if I talk about the Sixth Doctor's personality a little more.
Of course, yeah.
So basically, I know there's one scene where the TARDIS runs out of energy, and they decide that they can't do anything. And so Perry, of course, gets very nervous, and he just says nonchalantly, "It's like, oh well, you'll just age and die. I'll regenerate." So he didn't always seem to care about his companions like that I could, even though he only had two. But, let's see.
Which you say that, then it's a little surprising that he never actually like launched Bonnie Langford out a hatch or something, because
some people wanted him to.
yeah, she was not my favorite companion. No. She was at that convention I was mentioning before. That was a huge one. There was like a lot of people there.
Was that Mel?
Mel, right? Yeah, the fitness fanatic. That was not one of the better gimmicks of the show. I think the doctor on a treadmill and
carrot juice or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But his doctor always seemed very inconsistent to me. Like, say in one this one scene, he the two guys in the there's a scene where there's two guys in an acid bath, and sooner or later they both wind up in the acid bath, and
Yeah.
he just says, "So sorry, I can't join you." But
Hmm.
and then a few minutes later, they're talking about Syl, and Perry says, we should put him in cyanide, and the doctor says, now, Perry, where's your sense of justice? But it's like, I mean, you just
Mm.
had to
Yeah.
what, so it's very,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's on purpose, either, but just very, very inconsistent.
Hmm.
I felt,
And his run as a doctor was very short, so
it was very short. Yeah,
he packed a lot of inconsistency into such a short time.
he did. Yeah, he did. I think he got a little nicer, I guess, the Trial of Time Lord. But like I would say, honestly, I would argue that this definitely, I think, to me, was a low point for the show. The Sixth
This
Doctor.
particular episode or the Colin Baker era?
I'd say Colin Baker era. I like Colin Baker, but not the stories they put him in.
Mm,
So that's my opinion.
right.
It's not. I'm not saying it's gospel, but some
Yeah.
would disagree, and that's fine. I get it. But
Yeah, I mean, the
yeah,
Colin Baker episodes were being, aired in America when I was pretty much at my peak, Doctor Who geekiness. So I was just so, I just, I was so into it that, I don't think I looked at it very critically. So that's part of the point of doing these things, revisiting these things, see how they stand up to scrutiny. I mean, how long has it been? More than 30 years later. I mean, well over
yeah.
30. This is over 40 years ago, right?
Yeah, the '80s. Yes, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe been
So,
40 years. Yeah, 1985.
yeah. And yeah, the setup for the episode a little bit hard to swallow that the TARDIS just runs out of gas. They're going to be stranded and floating around forever. I mean, I don't think anyone watching this episode, even if this was your first episode, really believe that the TARDIS was done, was broken down and they were going to die in it,
Yeah,
so there's not a lot of drama to that point. So I think it's hilarious the way Colin Baker just gets, the doctor just gets depressed, just becomes like total Debbie Downer. Oh well, I'll just sit here for eternity. I thought it was kind of hilarious how he felt so sorry for himself and was completely indifferent to Perry being upset. It's like, oh, this is much worse for me, and so part of the reason why I watched Doctor Who is I didn't want to watch Star Trek. I wanted something different. I had done Star Trek when I was a little kid, and so I didn't want the Doctor to be Captain Kirk. So I kind of liked the Doctor who was so so eccentric in this way, his unique, being a downer, and as we will get into shortly, he could be violent. He kills a couple of people in this episode, and it's sort of borderline. I mean, some of them kind of accidental, but I think towards the end when he sets up those vines to kill
yes,
their
that's right. The poison
pursuers,
vines. That's
I
right.
think he just flat out sets a deadly trap for those guards.
I mean, that's the three people. He was like,
Yeah,
now, and they released the rope, and then, but yeah, that was pretty. And then a few minutes later, he just tells Perry, "It's like now, where's your sense of justice?" It's like you just killed three people. So
yeah, yeah, and yeah. This is, I mean, they say in the classic era, at least, Doctor Who was on during tea time.
yes,
So I enjoyed the episode, but I mean, I can understand if you're interested in watching some lighthearted TV, children's television. Everything about this episode is very dark.
yes,
It's, I mean, from the actual lighting to the tone, the mood, it's all very dark. So I mean, you got your slides up there. You want to just continue with your slideshow?
yes. I was going to ask you about a companion, or the companion in this is Perry, Nicola Bryant. So what should I say about her? Um, I like her, but I think she would have been better as if she just kind of put more of herself in the role. Like, don't do an American accent. I know that's what they
Mm,
wanted her to do because I think they were
yeah,
trying to appeal. Doctor Who, the popularity in America was growing, so they wanted him to have American companion. But I don't think it really helps her that much. I don't think. Um,
the accent.
Not really, no. And a lot of times she loses it.
I think watching it as an old geezer now, yeah, I do notice she struggles with the American accent, even though she is American, the actress, right? But she
Oh no, she's
grew
actually
up.
English. She's English.
I I think it's kind of gray. I think she's an American who grew up in England.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact details, but yeah, yeah, maybe her parents moved there when she was in school, something like that. So she speaks with an English accent as her natural speaking voice, but
Yes. I
but
kind of
yeah,
wish it was better. Yeah.
they made a half-hearted effort to have an American character on the show.
Yeah, yeah, and I know why. I'll just show another slide. I know why she's there, and she definitely. I can't imagine why they made her wear those shirts. Just I can't imagine. But
Right, yeah.
I know she was there for eye candy, and I'm not. I did really like her back then. And I still do, but I think if she kind of put more of herself into the role, just use a regular voice,
Mm,
um, just interacting was okay, but I know why she was put there.
right,
Yeah,
right.
and she is definitely a beautiful woman, definitely. But um, I just kind of preferred Ace, kind of more. She was more edgy, had more of an attitude.
Ace
Uh,
is a big fan favorite.
yes, big fan of Ace, but no, she was good, and I'm sure she's a very nice lady. People have met her conventions, but yeah, I think maybe just kind of if they had her just use her more just of a regular accent, I think would have been better.
Yeah,
Um, but let's see. Here we have Jason Connery, who played
sure, yeah.
Thundar. And I'm thinking, like, last name, that sounds very familiar. I wonder who his
Of
dad
course.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Who could his dad be? Ah, there he is. There's his dad. So, yeah. So, son of a very famous actor, Sean Connery.
Sure. And when most, like, a lot of the negative comments I read about this episode, in preparing for this, a lot of people complain about Jason Connery's performance.
Yeah, he was definitely not, as good as his father was, but still not. I think that's one of the first things he did as an
Yeah.
actor. I think he did. I think it was only his second ever acting job. I think ever.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. I don't recall seeing him in anything else.
he did. I think the stuff that he did was just shown just UK
Yeah.
only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do we have here? So Syl is a very great villain.
The legends.
Yes, exactly. The interesting thing with Syl is that he doesn't really, unlike a lot of the other Doctor Who baddies, he doesn't really want domination. He wants profit. He's an extortionist, basically. He's trying to get them to sell his planet. I don't know if they ever say where his planet is, but the Zyton 7 for
Sure. Yeah.
a very, very low rate. Um, so he just wants not only domination but profit. And since profit's the only thing in his mind, that kind of reflects who the PM was at the time, Margaret Thatcher.
Mm.
So again, somebody that was very just only saw profit, and that's really, I would just argue not a very altruistic person
Mm.
as a PM. Just cared about the cash, money.
There's definitely a lot of social commentary in this episode. And now that I look back and watch these old, particularly Doctor Who episodes, I see so much social commentary that I did not notice as a kid. And when people say that, when people complain about social, agendas being pushed in people's faces in modern entertainment, it did happen before, but I mean, it was more subtle back in the day. It was, and plus, it was usually accompanied by an entertaining story. Whereas now, a lot of times, the commentary is pretty much the story. But this was definitely a commentary on economics and other social factors, I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. Didn't notice it at first. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. The guy that played him, Nabil. Yeah, I'm sorry. I feel a bit about him blanking on his name, but
I
apparently
don't, yeah, I don't remember his last name at all.
he apparently was born with osteo. Uh, I'll do the best I can to pronounce this. It's a condition where your legs are underdeveloped, they're
Okay.
deformed and underdeveloped. Osteogenesis imperfecta, I believe that's what it's called.
Oh, wow.
And even at an early age, he was still determined to become an actor. And he
Hmm.
actually co-founded a troupe of actors that was all disabled around 1980. And then not too long after that, he got his first role in a BBC show called Walter. And he was actually recommended to Jonathan Turner for that particular episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think Syl actually returned later in Trial of a Time Lord, I believe. He did come back.
Yeah, the writer of this episode, his name was Philip Martin, and the
Yes,
only other episode he wrote was Mind Warp, which was part of the
that's right.
Trial of the Time Lord. And to tell you the truth, well, I remember a little bit of it because, yeah, I remember Syl. Syl is very memorable.
Yes,
So,
although the laugh.
yeah, and I don't want to go into, but I remember snippets of the plot from the other one, and yeah, so Syl was a big part of his other episode. He uh he he wrote a series that sounds interesting called Gangsters.
Gangsters, okay.
I just learned about it today, and I from what I hear is it was surreal. It was kind of abstract. Um, I'm keen to find it. I wonder if it's on YouTube or something because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it sounds very interesting. Gangster, kind of, I guess in the 20s or 30s, or
I don't think so, but yeah. But what stuck with me is that I guess it's surreal. It's an unusual show, which
okay.
is not a big surprise considering Vengeance on Varos is pretty surreal and weird. Some odd things occur in this pair of episodes.
Definitely was, yeah, definitely. Um, let's see, what else do I have here? So this guy right here.
Mm,
So this is a very violent episode.
yeah.
So when Colin Baker took over, it's the 84, I believe it was. So it was kind of bad timing because at this time the BBC was really cracking down
Mm,
on violent, over the top television. And unfortunately, he was saddled with playing a very um, over the top and violent character.
yeah.
So he just had a very uphill walk. Um, and yeah, a lot of his episodes were very violent, and we see this poor guy here with bleh, that is scary, but okay, that's okay. That's this poor guy said had part of his face melted off as though he was wearing
Yeah.
a mask, and we see guys, as we mentioned, getting poisoned by those vines. The two guys in an acid bath. So yeah, some pretty violent stuff, and I think it probably didn't help him any.
Oh,
And I
for
think
sure.
yeah, yeah. And I forgot that I think they moved the time slot. I think it was on Saturdays now, and I think now they're being shown rather than half an hour. It was like about like 45 minutes.
Mm, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That was a bit of a surprise. I do remember them moving to the 45 minute format back in the day. But yeah, when I popped in the DVD and I saw there was only 2 episodes, it took me a couple seconds to realize this must have been the first season because they definitely didn't do that with Peter Davison.
not at all. No, I think yeah, I think Twin Dilemma was 4 episodes, and that was the last of because I think they had the Case of Vajrazani, which is his last Peter Davison's last story, and then the next week, right after, people got to see Twin Dilemma, and then
for some odd reason, they decided to break with precedence and have the first episode of Colin Baker be in the Peter Davison season instead of having his own season premiere or series premiere.
Right. Yeah. I remember he was actually attacking Perry in.
That's right. Yeah.
I was like, geez, wow. I mean, very. It's kind of difficult to see the Doctor almost like psychotic.
Yeah. And I mean, even, you can have a lot of fun with the regeneration episodes. I definitely like the idea that the Doctor is disoriented and erratic following a regeneration. So I definitely feel like you could get away with a lot of wacky stuff when, in a regeneration episode like that.
Yeah, and I just, yeah, I did say aces, but I just didn't really. I personally didn't really like seeing him attacking his companion, but
right.
I know what they're trying to do something different. I get it. They're trying to like, challenge the viewer, and it was made for very good television. And
yeah, I mean,
think
I haven't seen Twin Dilemma since the 80s, but I know it's a very poorly regarded episode. I don't remember it at all, but I think it rates very low amongst, which is a shame because Caves of Androzani is one of the highest rated episodes.
That was great.
I mean, I remember buying an issue of Doctor Who magazine in the early 2000s, and the cover was Caves of Androzani because it had been voted the best episode of all time, which I'm not going to argue with. It's probably not my ultimate one, but I love Caves of Androzani. And then to follow it up with a stinker is a shame.
Yeah. I just thought the person, because he crashes that freighter in Androzani to save Perry, and
awesome,
it really messes him
cliffhanger,
up.
Yeah.
And then he carries, Perry through the whole field of raw spectrox, which is, destroying his body. And he's all bleeding, and he's also, I think the Doctor should always be, flawed but heroic. But attacking your companion, it's like, whoa, what are you doing? And it's like, hey,
right, yeah.
But I get, I can see the flip side is that it is definitely just a change, and definitely does challenge the viewer. And Colin Baker did, his performance is unquestionably amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Colin Baker is a very commanding presence in the scenes where, they're in the TARDIS control room and are figuring out that, they've run out of gas, they're going to die there. I think he's just excellent. I love watching him. He's great.
He is a very good actor. Yeah. Great actor. So let's see. I don't have any, that's all the slides that I have. I guess.
All right. Yeah. This guy shows up relatively late in the episode. I think he does appear in the first episode, but it's like, I enjoyed Vengeance on Varos. I thought it was pretty good, but I'm not really totally sure of the plot, and the plot doesn't really matter. I don't think it's a bunch of stuff happens. I mean, I know the basic idea of the plot. You have Syl, who's like this greedy something or other. They say he represents like the mining corporation, I think.
Yes.
Even though he seems to be buying the Zyton from, the governor of Varos. And yeah, it's probably not worth getting into the plot because I don't care. I mean, this guy shows up. I'm not sure. I guess he's a scientist, but it's a bunch of scenes of stuff that kind of flow. Things happen and they kind of make sense. But at the end of the day, the plot is not the most important thing with this episode. And I think it's about the acting, the sets. I mean, the idea of being on this totally dystopian planet, the whole commentary on the media. We've seen, of course, reality TV has just skyrocketed, in the years since then.
Yes.
I tended bar in an English pub in the 2001, 2002 school year, and Pop Idol was huge. That was, American Idol.
Oh, okay.
And of course, before American Idol was a thing, so people would come into the pub, they'd be talking about it. I had no TV, so I could not watch it at all.
Mm.
Not that that's really the kind of show I would watch, but yeah, I mean, this just gets it. This is all about video nasties, which is a little ironic because it seems to be pretty critical of the idea of violence for entertainment and stuff like this. But then this episode also came under a lot of attack for being too violent for TV.
Yeah, I know the people watching, they seem it's like, oh no, that guy didn't die. Oh well, it just seems like sad
Yeah.
that it's like I want to see him go to the acid bath and just doesn't happen. He's like just disappointed. But and I thought at the very end, it's when everything goes like on the TV, it's like,
Hmm.
what are we gonna do now? I don't know. So I just thought that was kind of a nice touch.
Definitely, I read it as people just being hypnotized by their TV, spending too much time. I I'm old enough to remember when they used to call the TV the idiot box, the boob
Yes,
tube.
the
It
boob.
used
Yes,
you don't really hear that anymore. The TV used to be considered a pretty bad part of life, but that's kind of gone away now. Yeah, people brag about, oh, I binge watched this show all weekend. I'm like, oh my god, the idea of just watching TV all weekend, that is not fun for me.
yeah.
If I watch 2 episodes of something in a row, that's binge watching for me.
Yeah, it's got. I can only do so much TV, and then I gotta just get up, get out, and do something. Yeah.
But yeah, but though, yeah, those two characters, that it amazes me just how good English actors are. Those
Yeah,
two small roles, they're so good.
they're
They
very.
really,
Yeah, they're very
they
good.
they really sold it. I loved it. So maybe yeah, we're already running quite a while. Let me
Oh, sorry, I don't want to.
show. No, not your fault.
You got your slides.
Yeah, I got some slides to run through.
Oh
So
yes, love that
I
set.
yeah. I mean,
Or
I
model.
wanted to include, this is like the establishing shot of Varos, and this could
Yes.
have totally come out of a Tom Baker episode.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Almost
it's
could be like
kind of
almost like
comforting, even though the show changed so much over the years, you're going to have all different things happen over the lifetime of a show. But it's kind of comforting that, like, wow, this feels like classic Doctor Who.
yeah, no,
Um,
it's definitely easily could be. I love that model. It's just that
mm-hmm,
you won't see that anymore. Just yeah, it's just
mm-hmm.
70s, 80s. Could almost could be like almost like a album cover.
Yeah, yeah, not a bad idea. That would
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
So, all right. I love the humor in this episode. Even for an episode that's considered so dark and violent. I got the picture of the Target novelization there. I think it's hilarious the way the Doctor and Perry, they're on this like hell world basically that is just all about torture and executions and everything, and they just pop around the corner to say hello, kind of like the Three Stooges or something. I thought that was pretty charming and funny. So
Look how
I
happy they
enjoyed.
are.
Yeah, no, I think it's hilarious. These two space travelers and everything, but they're just silly in this shot at least, and um, I think it shows a good chemistry between Colin Baker and Perry. So
Yeah, they have good chemistry. You know.
yeah, Nicola Bryant. Uh,
Ah,
I yeah, I wanted to find a shot that like what I'm saying is like even though I couldn't totally follow the plot, who cares? I mean, the episode is filled with great stuff like this. Syl is great. He's hilarious and disgusting. Um, for some reason, he's accompanied by like these Spartan soldiers with, probably from some, BBC, production about ancient Rome or something. Um, I kind of forget who the bald guy is. I think he's like with the governor. I think he's a Varosian. He's wearing that kind of thing. The costume design, everything about this is really cool. So they have never brought back Syl in like in the modern era, have they?
I don't think so. No, I
I
think
mean,
just
I haven't seen most of the last few years, but I don't think Syl ever came back. But I think that's a missed opportunity. I mean, I think he was a very memorable character. I think a lot of people really liked him, and if they were to recast the character, I have an idea of maybe. Oh well, unfortunately, I think Eric the actor has passed away. So unfortunately,
Eric.
this scene will never happen in Doctor Who. But
Eric. Eric, yep. I remember Eric very well. He's this. Look at that face, just so priceless.
yeah. This could be one of the outtakes from Vengeance on Varos. Um,
Don't have that
w-
one. I saw that though.
yeah, I saw this in Forbidden Planet in New York City.
Oh,
I
nice.
kind of wanted to get it, but this stuff is so expensive,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hilarious too, because as we've said many times, Vengeance on Varos is a famously violent, dark episode. And I
Yes.
love the idea of, little British children back in the 80s being like, oh, here's another picture of it out of the package. Kind of cool. But, little kids saying, Mummy, would you take me to Professor Bindlestiff's Emporium of Frivolities? Or what I imagine a toy store would be named in England in the 1980s. Buy me the Syl playset, please, Mummy. But I'm joking, of course. That toy was obviously made in the 2000s and not meant for little kids to play with like Star Wars figures. But they could not go see Professor Bindlestiff to get their Doctor Who fix. I don't remember there being a lot of action figures for Doctor Who back in the 80s.
There were some. I think Mego did a bunch in the 70s, which are now really
Yeah,
expensive.
I'm
And
sure.
then
Yeah.
DePaul, I had some of these. DePaul, a company called DePaul did some about as big as Star Wars figures in the 80s. But now
Huh.
I think recently, yeah, those that I have some figures from that line, but don't have Perry or Syl. But I love that. Mommy, I want to get a Professor Bindlestiffs. I want to
So
get my Perry and my Syl
yeah,
action figure. And a guy's
yeah.
burnt
So,
face.
and I was hoping maybe they would make a like a play set of something of Colin Baker, the doctor pushing guards into an acid bath, horribly killing them. But
Surprised they haven't.
that I don't think they have. But there are some outtakes of I don't think this made it into the final episode, but you see the doctor is enjoying it way too much, killing these guards. People have complained about how lighthearted it was, and that acid is so bad. I mean, it burns this guy's clothes right off. But
I know.
he
Look
seems to
at
be
that.
kind of enjoying it.
And in the back, it's like, yeah, whatever. It's like,
Yeah. He doesn't know what's going to happen to him next because, of course, the other guard gets. Oh well, this must be I don't know, a deleted scene or something. I don't remember the doctor falling into the acid, but it looks like maybe it leached all the dye out of his costume, gave him a more normal looking outfit.
that's
But
a lot. That's a lot better. Yeah, not as doesn't clash as much.
so yeah, a lot of controversial stuff in this episode. Maybe it was for the best that they cut this scene out. And so I
He
think
looks so
that's all
happy.
the hilarity I have prepared for this episode. I do want to my last comment on the episode is that one of my favorite things is about Syl is the way he screams like in tortured agony over like a minor problem. you were mentioning like some of your comments earlier kind of made me think this is kind of a low stakes episode. I mean, sure, you've got the governor is gonna, might be killed and stuff, but I mean, it's not, there's nothing planet ending going on. It's like nothing huge, sun's not going to be destroyed or anything. It's basically about business deals and, there are a few executions, but it's like at the end of the episode where they're like, we've renegotiated our deal with you, Syl. And Syl goes, ah! Like, they just threw him down the reactor shaft or something. Or they put him in the torture room. I find it hilarious how he screams like a toddler over just minor stuff. It's, they're never even like, oh, we're going to execute you now for all you've done. It's just kind of like, oh, we've renegotiated the deal. And it's like, so, I think that covers most of my thoughts about Vengeance on Varos.
Yeah, decent episode. I will say that the Sixth Doctor is not really up there with my favorites, but I do like Colin Baker, and it's an actor and human being, and he always gave every performance everything he had, and you can tell with his way he moves. He's always very vibrant and lively. I gotta say, the guy that played the governor, he just had no. It's like, oh no, I'm going to die. He just had no personality. Just like, hello, I'm the governor. It's just like, he was just boring.
Yeah, I didn't have that reaction to him, but yeah, it was kind of low energy. I mean, kind of necessarily. And I was thinking when I was watching it, for an episode is like so famous for being violent and downbeat. It's like after they put him in like the cellular destruction ray or whatever it is, he comes out perfectly coiffed, looking good. I mean, they really missed an opportunity. They could have shown him aging, put some wrinkles and scars on him and stuff. Maybe they decided that would be too scary for the kids, or they just didn't feel like putting on makeup or something.
Yeah, it's like, or maybe turn him into a lizard or something.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we didn't even touch upon that. As that was one of the lowlights of the episode, I think, because after they transform Perry and the rebel woman into a bird, and apparently like Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they say this is irreversible, that she's stuck that way, and the doctor is all upset that Perry got transformed into a bird, and then they just turn off the machine and they just basically go back. I don't think they did anything. They didn't have to find a remedy. The makeup just fades away and they go back to normal. I think there was some padding in this episode. Some stuff. Yeah, definitely. There was definitely some classic corridor chase scenes. Running up and down corridors. Cool golf cart that looked like it should have been in like Austin Powers. And that's kind of what I meant about the plot. The actual plot doesn't matter that much for this one if you just enjoy it for what it is. The craziness of Syl and the coolness of a torture dome. And then you got like the whole meta narrative where you're watching Doctor Who, but there's characters in the show that are also watching it. I'm not crazy about that kind of stuff, but I think it was pretty successful in this episode. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the better episodes Colin Baker has done, I think. I think it's also kind of voted, as far as Colin Baker episodes go, I think it's kind of voted at the top.
Yeah.
Along with Attack of the Cybermen.
Really?
But yeah, no regrets. I got the DVD, I think at a Tunes or some secondhand store for really cheap, and I had to dust it off, and I've pulled off the shelf, and it's like, it's been a while. Let's just see how it holds up.
Yeah, thanks for doing these episodes with me, Jim. I am enjoying
it's fun
revisiting these episodes. I don't remember them very well, so it's very fun to watch them again for the first, almost kind of like the first time. And I probably wouldn't. Who knows when I'd ever get around to watching Vengeance on Varos? Maybe Pyramids of Mars, Talons of Wang Chiang. I've got the DVDs for those, and I'll watch them from time to time. But I am enjoying getting this perspective on Doctor Who from being a geezer in the 21st century.
But we're cool geezers. Well, geezers that act young, and we act young, so we think young, and I don't think we seem or look our age. So yeah, and gonna be turning years old next year. So yeah.
Yeah,
And I guess you saw this episode original on NJN.
would have been. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought I had an
yeah.
NJN in here somewhere.
Oh
Um,
wow. Yeah, they were real. They were really on the edge, the cutting edge of getting Doctor Who episodes in America as
yeah,
the show was
yeah.
becoming popular, and us Whovians would not put up with waiting 5-10 years for new episodes. We wanted to get them right away, and we didn't have any internet back in those days.
No, not at all. No, zero.
So
I was kind of sad to hear NGN's no more. They apparently dissolved.
oh really?
Yeah, but so it's a shame. So I have very fond memories of watching NJN, not only for Doctor Who, but Uncle Floyd, and
Of
even
course,
further
yeah.
back,
Uncle
Sesame
Floyd
Street and
was.
Electric Company. So, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Uncle Floyd was a huge part of my entertainment back in these days.
and they used to show after Doctor Who. They would show the Flash Gordon serials.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Super cool. I mean, my ritual was, I believe, I forget what order it was. It was probably 7 o'clock WLIW from Long Island
Oh
would show
wow, yeah,
Doctor
I've heard of
Who,
them.
and then 7:30 Uncle Floyd would come on NJN.
Oh,
So
nice.
so yeah, that was awesome. And as cool as Channel 50 was, New Jersey Network, they would show the Doctor Who episodes on a Saturday night in the omnibus format,
Yeah,
which I hate the omnibus format. I love
I do too.
cliffhangers. Cliffhangers are one of my favorite things. And so just to just edit that out, basically, I did not like that. Even though the idea of watching, a bunch of Doctor Who episodes on a Saturday night, I mean, as you know, I was too young to go out or anything. That was pretty cool.
It was, yeah, it was.
Which they just kept the format, have the cliffhangers.
Yeah, leave those in there and just show, okay, next episode, just yeah, rather than just mushing them all together, just to
Yeah,
one movie. Like yeah, I prefer seeing in the 30, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And I think they've realized that it's not a good thing to edit them together. That they don't do that at all anymore, from what I can see.
No, no, not at all. No, no,
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. This has been a good one.
no
It
problem.
probably our longest discussion yet, but it flew by because it's Vengeance on Varos, of course. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure you check out uh, our channel to see what is coming up next. We got something planned already. Hope we're going to have a Halloween episode, which probably won't involve
Yes,
Doctor Who, but I do have something lined up for our next Doctor Who discussion as well. So make sure you click on that bell, because you need to know right away when the Code Rad show is coming on. Thank you, Jim.
exactly. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Have a good night.
Take care, everybody. Arrivederci.